Hello, South Florida, and welcome to our first edition of the South Florida Blitz for the 2024 high school football season. I'm Marty Pallman, and I'm joined, as you can see, by Joshua Wilson of Florida HS Football. We appreciate you watching us live tonight here on Twitter/X, which is still around after last night's debacle they had, apparently. Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube. And Josh, we had a good night last night talking to Central Florida and Gulf Coast football. Tonight we go to South Florida, and we know how much high school football means in South Florida. It's huge, especially as you get further south. But we look forward to talking about some teams that have a chance to win a bunch of state titles in a row.
No, absolutely, and Marty, and we got some defending state champions. We'll talk about that here coming up here in just a few minutes. But looking at everything South Florida, it's they win state championships down there in South Florida. Last couple of years, obviously, the Metro Suburban deal. South Florida basically, only was able to win 4 out of the total of 9 state championships available. But
Right.
In years past, you would look at it and it'd be like 7 out of 8 South Florida. It'd be South Florida, South Florida, South Florida, South Florida. So
Yeah.
again, it's football in South Florida. That's 25% of the state's population too. So we have to keep that in mind too. And that's where a good majority of the schools are at. And hey, when we talk about talent, it's South Florida.
25% of the population. That's just in Miami-Dade. No, it kind of seems
in the Tri-County area. But
right.
But with the South Florida Blitz, we also include the counties that are in the Treasure Coast: Okeechobee, Indian River,
Right.
St. Lucie, and Martin.
Yeah, and then we head down also to Monroe County and the
Keys.
So don't forget the Keys. Don't ever want to forget the Keys. Always a part of Florida. But yeah, you're right, Josh. If I guess the FHSAA maybe was looking to make it a little more fair than the state championships last couple of years, they got exactly what they wanted. As you said, I think one year in Daytona we had 7 of the 8 championships were from South Florida teams, literally, as you said.
Yes.
And then with the suburban and metro class, that gave a couple other teams, some other teams from Tampa and some other areas around the state a chance to win state titles. But as you said, South Florida, we always know that they're going to dominate, and I think we're going to see that probably again this year. But that's where we start. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's where we start at right here in terms of that. But first, remind everybody, download the FloridaHSFootball.com app. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen or go on to the iOS App Store or Android App Store. But either one of those, you can download the FloridaHSFootball.com app. And also make sure to follow us on social media, especially on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Florida HS Football. So click that notification bell to get subscription, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Florida HS Football, and on X at FLA HS Football.
Also want to thank Philip Crutchfield. No two of us are exactly alike. That's why you need a financial advisor with the freedom to focus on the details that make your life your own, your family, the challenges you face, the dreams that inspire you, whatever your goals. You need an advisor can create a plan uniquely tailored to you, all backed by the sophisticated resources of Raymond James. That's life well planned. To learn more, call financial advisor Philip Crutchfield at 352-642-8330. Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, member, New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. Coming up, we will have an interview tonight, or the interview will be with Broward County Athletic Director Dr. Kevin Perry, as we will preview
the Broward County National High School Football Showcase. How about that? That is coming up next week for week 1, but we're going ahead and get Dr. Perry on to talk about this. It's going to its 3rd year down in South Florida, 7 great games sitting on the schedule down there, and we will talk about that with Dr. Kevin Perry. And of course, we'll also have the fan question and the fan poll of the week.
And then we'll also have the pick 6. That's something we'll be doing every week as well. We'll take 6 games this week from SSAA action as they get going with week 1 for them on Friday. Of course, the other FHSAA squads are playing kickoff classes this week, so we'll have 6 games later to pick, as we'll do every week. But first, there it is. There's that music. Let's get you fired up. The Blitz Lines, where we start headlines from around high school football in South Florida. And we're going to start, as we have with the other shows this week, with the top coaching changes in South Florida during this offseason.
Yeah, and 2 big ones that stand out real quick here is Teddy Bridgewater at Miami Northwestern.
Yeah.
And how about this? Max Edwards back and in the coaching scene that took Miami Northwestern to several state championships. And here you go. If you remember back, and it was the first year that the FHA went to the power ranking system when they used the point system basically that year, 2017. Miami Northwestern, they finished 5-5 that year. They were the third place team in their district, made the playoffs, won the state championship in 5A that year. So or I think it was 5A. I want to say 5A that year.
Yeah,
I want to say
that's right.
And honestly, maybe it was 6A. Maybe it was either 5A or 6A. I know it was one of those two classifications. It's right off the top of my head right this second. But But when we talk about coaching and talk about what Max Edwards did at Miami Northwestern, now he's going to be at Miami Jackson. He's going to see whatever he can do to do things there at Miami Jackson. Will he be able to bring the same chemistry, be able to bring the same intensity that he was able to do at Miami Northwestern? I mean, now the talk is, you got Teddy Bridgewater sitting over at Miami Northwestern, a Bulls alum right there coming in. Last year, where was Teddy Bridgewater playing? He's playing quarterback in the NFL. This year, he's a head coach.
He was still in the NFL last year. You're right, and announced his retirement in the offseason, and right away is now coming back to his alma mater to coach. And I think you're talking, what year was that?
2017, I want to say, or may have been.
That was, they won 6A that year.
That was 6A. So yes, they were the third place team in their district. They were in the same district, I believe. In Miami Central was in that district. I want to say Norland was in that district too.
They beat Armwood in the championship that year.
Correct, and that was a good game.
Yeah, 21-16. So, lucky you have this archive over here. But, no.
Thank you for pulling that up, by the way.
Yeah, I was just thinking I might as well have it here. But Teddy Bridgewater, that's a name that you'll always remember, going on to play at Louisville, of course. And then in the NFL, had a nice career. Really was playing well. Then he had some knee injuries and ended up becoming more of a backup. But still, he was in the league for about 11, 12 years. So, interested to see how he will how he'll do coming into football, high school football, as he's never coached before his first year. Also, I see Uncle Luke still coaching there.
Yes, at Miami Edison. Yeah, and really, when it comes to big name coaches, there really hasn't been a lot of movement in South Florida this year around. And I mean, there's been obviously there's still some changes, but in terms of big names, big splash hires, I mean, you talk about. I mean, it's pretty much boils down to Miami Northwestern, Miami Jackson, and that's where it lies at right now.
It's mostly in the Miami-Dade area. Well, a couple of places where there are not coaching changes. One of them at Chaminade Madonna, Damian Jones rolling there as they will try to win their fourth consecutive state title. And meanwhile, St. Thomas Aquinas, there's another one, Roger Harriet, he's not going anywhere. They set the state record last year at St. Thomas for their fifth straight state title.
Yes, finally eclipsed that state record that was first initially set by Swanee and then by North Florida Christian. And then, and
bunch of teams, Miami Central and
I believe it wasn't this past year, but the year before that, St. Thomas Aquinas finally eclipsed that record of 11 that Bulls held for a long time. And you talk about records that are falling here, and but St. Thomas Aquinas finally, what you got the 5-peat. Will it be a 6-peat this year? Will it be 6 straight for the Raiders? And that is the big question. Chaminade Madonna, if it weren't, honestly, I'll tell you this: if it weren't for Chaminade Madonna losing in 2020 to Trinity Christian, what would have happened there? We would be talking about 8, 9 straight for them already.
Talking about 8 and 9 at least. Yeah, you're right, and that would be, you're right. That's about right. As Trinity Christian, that's another one of those teams that actually won 4 in a row, but got stopped going for 5. We had Miami Central do that from 2012 to 15, and they were stopped at their trying to win their 5th in a row. But finally, with St. Thomas Aquinas getting over that hump last year, although you remember, Josh, that game in Tallahassee, they were very fortunate to beat Homestead. Homestead down to the end of that game actually had a chance to win late, and it was a 31-28 game. But the Raiders got it done, as you said. And also Columbus High is trying to win their 3rd in a row, looking for a 3-peat.
Yes, and that's another coach that's not going anywhere, Dave Dunn.
Dave Dunn, right. And last year they took care of Mandarin 38-19 there in the championship game to advance. By the way, that's the last 2. It was 3M Aquinas won the last 2 years against Homestead. Well, now Homestead has moved up to
they're in 6A this year,
and Aquinas is still in 5, so there'll be some changes there. But anyway, those are the
that's the thing with and we're talking about the storylines right there, especially with those 3 teams right there. And a lot of people have these 3 teams pegged to win repeat state championships this year, and that we'll see what happens. But reminder, if y'all got a comment or you got a question for us or anything like that, you can just drop that into the comments box, either on wherever you're watching that, on YouTube, Facebook, on X/Twitter. you can drop your comments and we will take them and look at it all right here. And as we roll along here, Marty, we can ask this question here. Can teams like Miami Central, Miami Northwestern, Booker T. Washington, and Plantation American Heritage find a path back to the state championship game? And
yeah, it's strange to not have any of those teams there last year, but that was the case. And we'll see. As again, we've kind of switched up our classifications again. And we know how good Miami Central's been. There've been a couple, maybe for them down here, as you mentioned, Northwestern now with Teddy Bridgewater, and then Booker T. Washington, who they were a staple or mid 2010 to maybe 15. I think they won about 4 state titles in a row. So
yes,
it's been a little while for them. American Heritage too. They're usually there, but not last year.
No, and Booker T. Washington, they did get Ice Harris back for his 3rd stint. So last year it was actually it was 2022. Sorry, excuse me. And he's trying to find, but right now where the mojo was at there when Booker T. Washington did that run of 4 straight, it's a little different. The times have changed, and that is a big thing right there. Is what to expect and see what these teams are going to do. And I really think that these teams are going to be in the mix. Especially if the state championships do end up down in South Florida. We don't know yet. We're still waiting for the FHSAA to decide which way things are going to go. But and I actually will bring this up here now. It wasn't on our list to do in the Blitz lines, but there has been this is where I think maybe South Florida is much more in play now. There's been massive upheaval at FAMU. There's been mass resignations, including the athletic director, Tiffany Dawn Sykes, she was let go as of today. Oh, wow. So that makes things interesting, as if the relationship for the FHA and FAMU is going to be there now.
I didn't know.
Yes,
I heard about that, and then of course they're coming off one of their best seasons in football last year, the Celebration Bowl victory, and then their coach Willie Simmons went to Duke as an assistant coach, so they already brought in a new coach. But that's an interesting scenario. As we said, we were at Bragg Stadium last year for the state championships.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see what we have. Top 10 preseason games to watch, and
yes,
there are some good ones. I mean, let's start with the one
we got, and there's going to be like 6 of them down in South Florida this weekend right here. That is including there's going to be involving some teams from out of the area from that are going to come from Central and North Florida. Yeah,
that's the that's what you like to see in these kickoff classics. Usually teams from out of the area come to play others, but I think it started at the top. The game we have right at the top, Miami Central against Vanguard. It's Cala Vanguard heading down to. Thank you.
I think it was my microphone.
It's all right. Traz Powell Stadium looks like Vanguard of Miami Central. That's the one big game this week in Miami-Dade County. Also Miramar playing Edison. That's another one. Booker T. Washington. We mentioned them going to Dillard in Fort Lauderdale. That's a big one as well.
No, absolutely.
As we go down the list, Lake Wales and Treasure Coast. Lake Wales always the powerhouse coming in out of Polk County. Cardinal Newman and Homestead. Homestead, a state runner-up the last 2 years. How about this one? Norland, who was a state runner-up a year ago, against Armwood. That would be a pretty good state championship game if you put those two together.
Yes, and going down the list here, we've got looking at it, some other games that are sitting here: Miami Palmetto versus Miami Northwestern. You mentioned Armwood, Norland. Looking at, and then here we go. Some of the other games: Booker T. Washington at Dillard, Lake Wales at Treasure Coast. So again, remember, we also include some of these teams up there in the Treasure Coast area as part of the South Florida Blitz here, and really, really solid games. Delray Beach Atlantic at Palm Beach Central. These again, and Cardinal Newman versus Homestead. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that's right. And also Monarch, Coconut Creek. So, yeah, it should be a big week for kickoff classics. You got a lot of good games from teams out of the area. Jupiter, West Boca Raton. So that will be something to look forward to as well this Friday. And of course, next Friday, August 23rd and Thursday the 22nd is when week 1 starts for FHSAA.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And with all that said, and of course, we're getting ready to take a break here in a moment. We're going to take our water break here, Marty, and then we're going to get ready to have Dr. Kevin Perry from Broward County Schools join us.
Yeah, ready to go. He'll be talking about the Broward County Football Showcase coming up next week. So we'll take a break, as you heard Josh say, and return in a moment. This is the first edition of the 2024 high school football season of the South Florida Blitz.
All right, welcome back here on the South Florida Blitz show here on FHSAA.com, and we are proud to have the interview here with Dr. Kevin Perry of the Broward County School District, and also the coordinator, I would say, the mastermind of the what has become the Broward County High School Football National Football Showcase. And Coach, I definitely appreciate you being able to take a few minutes of your busy schedule. I know that this week and the next week is going to be really busy, especially now the school is starting and the football season is getting ready. But Coach, thank you for joining us, and kind of just give people a real quick, how the concept of the Broward County National Football Showcase came about for you. I think this is now year 3, I want to say.
Yeah, year 3. First off, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Marty, for having me tonight. Blessed to always talk about this great opportunity. But it actually started in the state of Michigan. I did it at the University of Michigan. Battle of the Big House started in 2015. Then when I moved here, I'm a Virginia boy. So when you come here, it's all South Florida's got the best talent in the country. But to me, it's only one way to prove it. And I introduced the idea to Sean Sarah, who was the county AD at the BCAA, Broward County Athletic Association at the time. COVID hit, kind of derailed us a little bit, but afterwards we revisited the idea, and here we are, like you said, year 3, and the matchups just keep getting better and better each year.
No, absolutely, and we got those matchups listed right here, brought up here on the screen. We're just going to talk about on our screen here on the side, talk about these games because it's 7 great games over 3 days, starting Thursday, August 22nd. Actually, it'll be 2 games that day, 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. The first game setting up Peachtree Ridge, Georgia versus Monarch. Monarch, they were state semifinalists this past year, so this is an opportunity for them to set up the 2024 school year and say, hey, 2023 was not a fluke.
Exactly, and as you said, I mean, both teams, Monarch and Coconut Creek, got a little chip on their shoulder from last year.
Yes.
Monarch thinks they could have pulled that game off and could eventually won their first state title in school history. I'm excited for that. Peachtree Ridge finished 10-2 last year. Mm-hmm. So, Georgia's always got some good football up there. And the head coach is a Broward County guy. Used to coach at St. Thomas, North Broward Prep. So that's Matt Helmrich. But I'm excited just to kick it off with a game to that caliber.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And, looking at the rest of the schedule just for that Thursday, you mentioned Coconut Creek, and they're playing Miami Northwestern, which that's already big headlines right there because that'll be Teddy Bridgewater's first game as a head football coach, official first game. And I know that's going to be a fun one to watch. And, of course, like you mentioned, Coconut Creek got that chip on the shoulder, but Miami Northwestern, they're looking for something. Hey, we could come out and get a win here. That would be great.
I'm excited for that matchup. You got Coconut Creek. I mean, we saw what they did last year. I mean, they surprised a lot of people and hung in with the number 2 team in the country, Chaminade. So, I mean, that speaks for itself. And like you said, I mean, the hype's going to be around Teddy Bridgewater and what he brings back to his alma mater. So this could be one of those back and forth games and come down to maybe coaching at the end of the game.
No,
that's. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Teddy Bridgewater came basically straight off the field and right into coaching. I mean, that's it. He's first game. I mean, he's never been a coach before. He just retired from the NFL. So that's kind of interesting to see how that'll be.
No, absolutely. And before we talk about the 3 of the bigger matchups, the other matchup, we're going to talk about is actually on the Saturday, August 24th, real quick, and that is Hoover versus Western. And actually 2 of the matchups. Sorry, excuse me. 8:23, Lake Mary versus Cardinal Gibbons, Hoover versus Western on 8:24. And those are the 2 other games because we're setting aside the ESPN games here for a moment because we're going to talk about those in their own batch because that's huge right there in 3 games right there. But Lake Mary, hey, you pull another team here in the Sunshine State that has been highly talked about. They got one of the top quarterback prospects there at Lake Mary, and they're coming down to play Cardinal Gibbons, who has been traditionally one of y'all's best teams down there. And I know Matt DeBuck really well down there at Cardinal Gibbons, and I know that for Cardinal Gibbons, it's not been the same the last couple of years, missing out on the state championship game. But hey, here's a chance to prove that you might be back back in that conversation again.
Yeah, I'm excited for this matchup. You got, the first 2 years, Cardinal Gibbons really wasn't favored, but they pulled off 2 low-scoring back-and-forth games, and honestly won on the last drive of both games when they beat DeMatha out of Maryland and Cardinal Gibbons out of North Carolina. But we know Matt DeBuck, that Texas Tech run and shoot offense, he's going to find some matchups somewhere. And like you said, you got Noah Grubbs going to Notre Dame, but as great as that is, people forget he's surrounded by 2 1,000-yard receivers coming back next year and 1,000-yard running back. So this is it's either going to be who's got ball last or a kicking battle at the end of the game.
And those are the games that fans love.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
They love those kind of games. And with that said, in Hoover versus Western, which I believe that Hoover had a little bit of a situation, so I don't think they've got their head coach, so they're kind of coming in with this game, kind of sitting there looking at a situation there. So, but Western, I mean, you know, Coach Rack, as everybody calls him, man, he has put Western on the map over the last 4, 5, 6 years, and I honestly, you know, his teams are always fun to follow.
Yeah, I mean, you got a great coaching staff with Coach Rack and his guys over there. I mean, great staff, great kid, fundamental sound. It could be one of the best teams in 7A this year. I mean, his 3 linebackers could be the best linebacking core in the country. If you look at it, and I know he's young in the secondary, but I've heard a lot of college scouts talk about how that could, in 2 or 3 years, that could be the best secondary in the nation. So, we know that's going to be a disciplined team. And when it comes to Hoover, you know, Coach English, the interim coach, he's been the consistent ever since I spoke to Hoover in the very beginning. So he's stepping up, and I'm excited to bring them, the kids down, ready to come down. And man, they're bringing a travel team of 130 people.
Wow, that's impressive right there. And
and as you know, we were talking about, Josh said we would get to the ESPN games, and you know, I guess we should talk about that because these matchups are really fantastic. Bishop Gorman and St. Thomas Aquinas on Saturday, the 24th at 4, and then you have later that night St. John Bosco out of California and Chaminade Madonna. Probably maybe 2 of the top 5 or 10 teams in the country, and those are both ESPN games that day from St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, I mean, you even skipped one. You forgot about one on Friday night with
American Heritage.
in Milton.
Yeah, sorry, that's Friday night, the 23rd, right?
Yeah, I mean, what can you say when you got 6 of the top 19 teams in the country playing against each other? So, I mean, I want to get to the point where the this mythical national championship starts in Broward County. You know, I want to create these matchups, and it's just all 7 games. It's a great way to showcase the kids. I mean, you never know who's watching, and I designed it that way on purpose. It's the week before college football. I mean, we got 1 college football game on that Saturday, so it's great that we follow up after that 1 college football game. And it's just all about the opportunities getting noticed across the country, and hopefully these college coaches are watching, get to notice these kids. These kids get offers and get opportunities that they wouldn't on a regular, you know, playing a local game versus on a national stage.
Yeah, and that one football game is Florida State and Georgia Tech, I believe, from Ireland, and that's like a noon game. So yeah, they'll be out of the way by the time all your games get going that Saturday the 24th.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, that first game on the ESPN game on 8:23, that's a 7:00 kickoff right there. And of course, the games as you mentioned for Saturday, the Bishop Gorman St. Thomas Aquinas game, that's a 4 p.m. kickoff on ESPN, and the St. John Bosco Chaminade Madonna is an 8 p.m. kickoff. That's ESPN too, but it's still to have those games on nationally televised. I mean, when we talk about this, Coach, you know, is this what you envisioned for this to happen this way, or did it just kind of naturally happen that ESPN started picking up on what was going on down there in Broward County?
I mean, I always had the idea of ESPN being involved in some fashion. I didn't know it was going to get this big because last year was like the first time they've had back-to-back, and the St. Francis Chaminade game was the highest watched game in the past 8 years for ESPN. So, this thing kind of took off a lot quicker than any of us expected. You know, I got to give a big thanks to, you know, James Knapp, the CEO of the Broward Education Foundation, for allowing us to run it that way. Like I've already mentioned, Sean Serra, the BCAA with Patty Brown, Rocky Gillis, Jen Hamilton, Kristen Garcia. I mean, it takes a team to put on something to this caliber. And, we got amazing sponsors that allow us to do this. Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, Visit Lauderdale, Dave & Buster's, Adidas. We treat this like a bowl game. I mean, if you are a high school coach and I call you up and say, I'm going to pay for 2 nights in a hotel, 2 charter buses, 3 meals a day, a trip to Dave & Buster's where you eat free, play games, swag gear, and another South Florida attraction. I mean, you're talking $60,000, $70,000, $90,000 to do this. And this is what we do to support the team. So once they get here, we cover everything. I mean, we even give them box meals when they get on the charter bus, picking them up at the airport.
That's pretty amazing. And we do have a comment here that we are going to pop up, and we were talking about your goals, Coach, and the Silverman saying great goals. So you got your fan base out there, Coach.
Hey, I appreciate that, Silverman. Like I said, it's for the kids. I'm 43, but I lived my dream when I was 29. So if I can make kids feel what I did that day, that makes everything worth it.
No, absolutely.
The past couple of weeks that are sleepless nights, and I know I'm not sleeping for the next 9 to 12 days. So
you will sleep once everything is done.
That's Sunday, right? The 25th, maybe. Yeah, 7 games in 3 days. That's it's a lot of football, and 4 different sites too. So I know you've got to have a lot of people to help you with that. You're going to be all over Broward County.
No, yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to me, it's well worth it when you get to see. I'm starting to post now on Instagram. All the local teams went to Dave & Buster's. Just the smiles on their face, the camaraderie, the team building that they do. It's great what the kids get to experience.
No, absolutely. And again, 7 games over 3 days starting Thursday, August 22nd. The first 2 games at Coconut Creek High. One is going to be at Cardinal Gibbons, 1 at St. Thomas Aquinas, and then you got 1 at Western, and then 2 more at St. Thomas Aquinas on 8/24. 8/23 are the 2 games, 1 at Cardinal Gibbons, 1 at St. Thomas Aquinas. And again, that's Peaches Ridge versus Monarch, Miami Northwestern versus Coconut Creek, Lake Mary versus Cardinal Gibbons, Milton versus out of Georgia versus American Heritage, Bishop Gorman versus St. Thomas Aquinas, Hoover versus Western, and St. John Bosco versus Chaminade. Can't get any better than that to start off the 2024 season, Coach.
No, not at all. Like I said, I want this national championship to come through Broward County in South Florida. And, like I said, I'm still waiting on a few other states to join the party. But hopefully one day they'll join.
Hopefully they will. But Coach, definitely thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule and talking to us about the Broward County Showcase for next week, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what happens.
All right, see you next week. Appreciate you, Josh. Appreciate you, Marty.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, that was Dr. Coach Kevin Perry, as we call him down there in South Florida, down at Broward County. We appreciate him joining us here on the South Florida Blitz. And again, it's going to be a lot of great football coming up next week. This
has become quite an event. And unfortunately, I have my own game on the 23rd. Otherwise, I probably would be in South Florida. But that's Saturday. I'm looking forward to plopping down in front of the TV and watching those games, ESPN2 on the 24th, especially, as you said, Bishop Gorman, St. Thomas Aquinas, and St. John Bosco and Chaminade Madonna that night. And the other games are being televised there locally. 2 of them are on Flow Football, and 2 are on the local Beacon TV, the Broward Educational television channel. So that will be interesting as well. But hey, that's still a week from Saturday. So
no, absolutely.
Got to wait a little while for this still. But anyway, we appreciate Dr. Perry.
Waiting's the hardest part, Marty.
Waiting is always the hardest part, especially with football. It's a long off season. All right, we're going to take another water break. We'll come back. We'll have our fan poll and your pick 6 for this opening week. This is the South Florida Blitz. All right, we're back here on the South Florida Blitz as we head towards our pick six here in just a few moments. So welcome to our first show of the 2024 season. Coming up a little bit later, we'll have the North Florida Blitz. You can check that out as well. But right now, it's time for our fan poll of the week.
Yes, indeed. And we'll talk about the fan question of the week before we do.
Yes.
But we do actually have a question that we will actually answer. But usually we were planning on not having a question this week. But if you got a fan question, email your question to football@forthfootball.com to have a chance to have your question answered next week on the show. Subject line fan question of the week.
There you go. So we will look forward to that next week. And our fan poll of the week, this is something we talked about already today. Who has the best chance of repeating as state champions in 2024? Chaminade Madonna, who again is trying for their fourth in a row. Columbus looking for 3 in a row. And St. Thomas Aquinas 6 in a row.
Yes.
Go vote now, FloridaHSFootball.com/polls, and you can, if you got another team even maybe, but those are the 3 obviously coming back that have been repeat state champs. St. Thomas Aquinas, a 6-peat, if that's such a word. I guess it is. I don't know. I've just made it up, but it's hard to believe you can have a 5-peat already. So,
well, we do have a fan question that we're going to go to.
Okay.
And this is I don't know who it's exactly from because they're
a Miami Hurricane baseball player. It looks like.
Yes. So, but thoughts on Columbus versus St. Thomas Aquinas this season? The first time they played in years, and for once, Columbus might have the players to beat them. Ooh, this is this is going to be tough, and it's going to be tough to figure out until they get close, right, almost to game week. That would. I mean, honestly, St. Thomas Aquinas is St. Thomas Aquinas, but Columbus is Columbus, and this is hard. This is. Let's answer this one even more when it comes to that week.
Right, and that I'm not sure when that game is, but that
I will pull that up here real quick because I'm still trying to compile the schedules here because some of them are still kind of in a disarray.
Yeah, still, but that's good to hear that they're going to play each other. As you said, first time in years Columbus has played St. Thomas Aquinas, and that's going to be a battle. I mean, Columbus, we know, trying to win their 3rd state title in a row. We just talked about these two teams, both. Repeat state champs, and
we will have to wait very long.
Wow, that's like week 3.
Yes, week 3. They will be at St. Thomas Aquinas Brian Piccolo Stadium. So yes, yes.
Oops.
Yeah, the ads play on MaxPress for some reason.
Yeah,
so.
That's September 6th. Yeah, so that'll be something to look forward to already. So we'll have a lot to say that week, I'm sure, on the South Florida Blitz.
Yes, because that'll definitely be a big one to talk about with that game. Those two teams alone right there. And
thank you to our fan question of whoever you are for sending.
Yeah, we don't have a name.
Yeah, that question, but hey, that's a good one. So look forward to that. And guess what? It's time to look forward to football this Friday by bringing you the pick 6.
Yes.
Week 0, we keep calling this, and this is the SSAA opening week, so our games will be consisting of those teams playing each other. We already mentioned earlier the FHSAA, the kickoff classic, some of the games we have this week down in South Florida, some huge ones. But we'll start here in the SSAA season with, how about this, Nova University School, NSU University, Nova Southeastern University, at Jupiter Christian. These are two teams that have played and won state titles within the last 10 years or so, and now they're in SSAA.
Yes, both of them, and that's It's just the way things go these days. It's the private schools have had suffered some of their setbacks, and the cost of going to a private school has gone up, and sometimes the scholarship money isn't there anymore that it used to be. So, the teams are like, well, we can't get the football players that we have, so we'll go down to the lower level where we're more competitive. Instead of being at a disadvantage, you're at advantage here, and that's what the situation is, both for NSU University School and Jupiter Christian. Actually, for almost all the teams in the SSAA.
Yeah, the University School, I know they've always been known as that, as you said, NSU, Nova Southeastern University School. I like them to win this game because, again, that's a program that I know has been really solid for a while. Jupiter Christian coming into the SSAA as well, but I would like University School here in this game.
All right, well, I'm going with University School as well. They really had an impressive season last year, and I think that only continues here as they start week 0 of the 2024 season here. And with that said, we will bring it up here on the screen because there's our picks, my pick, Marty's pick, and the computer pick. And the computer pick agrees with us, Marty. NSU University School by 22.
And of course, we'll see if that ends up meaning anything.
Yes,
they
indeed.
win that game, and that is a pretty decent spread there on the computer. All right, Palm Beach Christian Prep. That's a new one to me. At Oxbridge Academy, there's another one, Oxbridge Academy, who about probably 10 years ago was playing for state titles or less. They won one, in fact, but now down in SSAA, and they are hosting Palm Beach Christian Prep.
And Palm Beach Christian Prep, they're still relatively new at football, but Oxbridge, they just came back to football a year ago, and
that's right. They got rid of the program completely.
They got rid of the program completely for a couple of years, but started back with JV, and 2 years ago came back with varsity last year. So this year they're back to their second year of varsity. Not the same Oxbridge Academy that we all knew, but nonetheless, it's interesting. Palm Beach Christian Prep. They're Willie Sneed's got some ties to that school, and we'll go from there. But I understand not a lot of people know much about Palm Beach Christian Prep. I don't know much about Palm Beach Christian Prep, but the computer is saying something that I don't know if I agree with.
Well, I'm taking Oxbridge. Yeah, you're right. But we'll see, as you said, what the computer has to say.
I'm going with Oxbridge as well, because I've been told that Oxbridge could be very much improved this year.
Oh, but you're right. This is I can see this. You're pulling this up here. It's 16 points for Palm Beach Christian. Wow. Palm Beach Christian Prep. So, well, we'll see if the computer knows what it's talking about, or if we do.
We'll see if the analytical data says anything to us
right.
and all that. So, and definitely appreciate that. So,
all right. We'll move along. St. Edwards.
Yes.
2 more programs coming into the SSA, and Bayside. This would be Bayside.
Yes, Bayside just entering the SSAA this year.
Right.
St. Edwards has been a program that's been in the SSA for quite a while. They were one of the actually founding programs of the Sunshine State Athletic Conference.
Yeah, the old SSAC, which it used to be called. St. Edwards out of Boca Raton.
No, Vero Beach.
Man, I'm thinking of St.
You're thinking of St. Andrews.
St. Andrews, I am. I'm sorry. I got that confused. I got to get back to my cities. And Bayside, you said, as well. But I do know St. Edwards, even though they're in Vero, and I think that they're going to win this game. Even though it's on the road, I like St. Edwards.
St. Edwards, they've been a program. They've been right down the middle here, kind of a middle of the road team. And for Bayside, they got a lot of work to do. They have just literally struggled, and I don't know if coming out. Hey, what would be good for Bayside? Come out week 1 and then prove yourself that saying, hey, we worked hard in the off season, and we're not saying no. We're gonna come out and we're gonna fight. But Bayside has struggled the last couple of years, and last year there was no win. So a win here for these kids would go a long way, but it's going to be kind of difficult right this second, I feel like, and just not knowing if everything is in place just yet for Bayside to turn that page. And that's why we're going to go with what the computer agrees with, and that is St. Edwards.
24. All right. I haven't had a close one yet. Maybe that'll change in our next game, which is game 4 of 6, and pick 6 going on. Berrien Christian at Boca Raton Christian.
Yes, Boca Raton Christian. Do you know who? I don't even know. Do you by chance maybe know who the head coach at Boca Raton Christian is? Because it may be a name that goes back to years ago that you might be familiar with. That because you're a Gator fan, Marty. But this guy played at the opposing school.
Oh,
his name's Clay Shiver. FSU.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That is the head coach at Boca Raton Christian.
Okay. I was thinking of a Gator there for a minute,
but yeah.
All right, I do know that name well, and again, Boca Raton Christian. I would take them at home in this game. Berrien Christian. Don't know a lot about them at this point, but looks like
the Berrien Christian has had some struggles. I think their head coach is going into the second year this year, so they have been trying to figure out ways to win games there, and it's just, being a small private school, the Sunshine State Athletic Association obviously is the right conference for them. It's just, how can you go from 2 wins to maybe winning 5 games? That's the next question for Berrien Christian this year, and whereas Boca Raton Christian has been able to do that, win 6-7 games over the last couple of years. So.
Yep. So that is
the
pick of both of us there.
Yeah, and there it goes. The computer says Boca Raton Christian.
14. That's not bad, but that's the home team in that one. So far, once again, Josh and I are 4 for 4. That's what happens early in the season. You don't really know what you're going to get. You kind of go with the favorites a lot, but we'll see if that does happen this week. And here's another one who's new to the SSAA, LaBelle.
Yes, LaBelle, Tradition Prep. They're in their third year in the SSAA.
Yeah, Tradition Prep. That's Port St. Lucie. And this game at Tradition Prep. So, well, I'll take the home team again. Tradition Prep to win this one over LaBelle, as you mentioned, first year in the SSAA.
You know what? This game is only a very close
Right?
on the what the computer is saying. Oh, saying, and actually, you know what? You said Tradition Prep, correct?
Yeah. See, here we go.
All right.
I saw that pick and I'm like, I didn't pick that. Yeah.
But I didn't put it up on the screen yet, so
That's
there
right.
we go.
That's right.
All right, I
you
am
go.
going against the computer here. And why am I doing that? Because LaBelle was 6-4 last year.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think there's a lot of excitement over there with the Cowboys there at LaBelle, and they're just ready to go, and they're fired up to play in the SSAA. They feel like that it's going to be much more competitive for them. LaBelle has struggled for years on and off the field, so this is a chance for them to say, hey, you know what? We finally got something that we feel like is a lot of pride for them.
Yeah.
But Tradition Prep, at some point, Tradition Prep, we feel like, you know, that their time in the Sunshine State Athletic Association may eventually come to an end, because eventually, my understanding is that they eventually will end up in the FHSAA. But for now, Tradition Prep, they've been building a program there. They're a newer charter school, and they have found their way with some winning some ball games last year. And but you know what? They may just do it here when pick up their first win of the season come Saturday, because that game is actually Saturday.
Okay, Saturday game there.
Yes.
In Port St. Lucie. All right, our sixth and final game. Speaking of teams in the FHSAA, these two are. Well,
the first one is definitely
Delray American Heritage. I believe Coral Springs Charter was as well at one point, but hasn't been that long ago. But yeah, American Heritage, Delray, that's a team that's won state titles in the FHSAA. Been to the state championship game quite a few times, and now they will head over to the SSAA and an opening game with Coral Springs Charter. Pretty good matchup.
Yeah, and this one, the computer is, telling us something here a little bit, but American Heritage has suffered with on the field result here over the last few years. They're barely eclipsing 2 to 3 wins a year right now, and that's not what we used to know American Heritage as Stallions there. The counterpart to the American Heritage Plantation Patriots.
Right.
They are sister schools. So
that's right, and they've won. Of course, we know about the Patriots. They've won a bunch of state titles, Plantation, American Heritage. But you know what? I'm going to go with Delray, American Heritage here. I'm going to go against the computer this time and pick the road team. Again, Coral Springs Charter, I know they're good as well, but I'll go with the Delray American Heritage Stallions.
No, absolutely. And as they say, I'm going with the computer. And I'm taking Coral Springs Charter, whereas Marty is.
It's your computer, so no.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but that's going to be a good game, though. I think that's going to be the game of the week there, maybe, in the SSAA.
No, absolutely. And with that said, that is the pick 6 for South Florida for this week. And
that means. Well,
yes, one final thing. Our final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm looking forward to the Broward County Showcase next week, but that's next week. So far, it's just good to be back. I said this yesterday, good to be back with football, and it's going to be an exciting opening week here this Friday and Saturday with the games coming up.
No, absolutely. And, of course, we've got a lot that's going to be happening here with the preseason games, obviously, but next week, week 1, that is going to be the opening week, and it's going to be huge, and it's time for football. Everybody says, oh, we have missed football season. They miss it when the football season ends, and then it's like, oh, here it is.
Well, and also, like I said, you've been off since December. All of a sudden, it's here. It just all of a sudden this week you're like game week, and last week some as well. But yeah, ready to go, ready to get it going again here this Friday night. So,
oh yeah, we got a comment here real quick. Thank you, Josh and Marty. Keep up the great work. Florida high school football needs it. Thank you. So we appreciate that, Silverman.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All
right.
That's gonna do it for our first edition of the South Florida Blitz, and we'll talk to you again next week, 7:30. As you watch this on X, Twitter, also Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube. Joshua Wilson of Florida HS Football. I'm Marty Pallman. So long. Say goodnight, Josh.
Good night.
Right.
And so long.